This is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.
What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Brian Frizell. Today we are filming in the historic Lincoln Building, home of the Kansas City Business Association. Today's special guest, Mr. Quinton recently won your vote for Kansas City Council 3rd District at large. We're happy to welcome him back here today to talk to you a little bit about what he hopes and plans on doing for you in the near future. Please, let's welcome Kansas City Business Association. We welcome you, Mr. Quinton Lucas, to the program today. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Happy to be here and excited to be elected to serve Kansas City. It's been a whirlwind so far, but I've had a good time doing it.
Well, let's talk about that whirlwind. Last time we were here, you were campaigning. What is something that you maybe learned while you were knocking on the doors and talking to your constituents?
You know, I think I learned a million different lessons, so I need to write a book one day about all of it. I mean, I think the first thing I learned was really about the basic issues people are talking about. I think we talked about it the last time, but you know, a lot of times you read the newspaper, they talk just about an airport or a hotel or a streetcar and all of that. Most people just want to have a city where the trash is getting picked up, you know, their basements aren't flooding every time it rains, the streets are drivable. I mean, those are the issues that people are really talking to me about. And then fundamentally they want to talk about things like education and how to make Kansas City a better place for not only this generation but future ones.
Essential services that you provide. Can you tell us a little bit about your main project
Sure.
that you hope to accomplish?
Well, you know, that's interesting. I mean, I, first of all, want to make sure this city has good government. I mean, I think that's, and then we're asking important questions. That's step one. We have a $1.47 billion budget. About 71% of it goes to public safety, so salaries and other things to our police and fire department. And I just want to make sure that what we're doing in terms of our incentive plans, heck, who we're hiring and all of that, it makes sense. You know, I want to do that before we're going and spending everything under the sun on a world of different projects. So I think that's a big step one. In terms of my real goals and priorities, we have, I'm the chairman of the housing committee for the city of Kansas City. I want to make sure that where we have public housing, first of all, it's not all centralized in one part of town, which is kind of the story of what we have it now, but we first spread it out because Lord knows there's poverty everywhere in our city. But then also where we're building housing projects, we're making sure that there are places where you can have a real community, where you have mixed income developments, where you're looking to have shopping and retail as part of that development. And it's not just the sort of thing that looks like a classic project that people have been seeing for the last 50 years in our country.
Now, we've heard this from other city councilmen, particularly in the 3rd District before you. Your resume seems unique in that you possibly are equipped to bring some of these services to the east side. What particular challenges have you found in terms of getting these projects out there and actually getting them completed as your
you know, I think challenge one is that this is a bureaucracy, and this is a big bureaucracy we have to deal with. So, you know, kind of, first of all, knowing where everything is, knowing all the different development plans, knowing everything that's going on, it requires, I feel like it requires a law degree almost to do it. Not exactly, because there's some other folks like my colleague Mr. Reed who've done very well without one, but nevertheless, it is the sort of thing that takes a lot of work. And it's just this morning, I woke up at 4 in the morning trying to basically get on top of things for a city council hearing that's coming up today at 1 o'clock. I mean, that's what the challenge is. It's not so much that people are fighting against getting things done, or that, and sometimes that there's not money there, but instead is that you really have to do the work and be the one who's focusing on everything.
Certainly, certainly. You mentioned Councilman Jermaine Reed. I caught his radio program yesterday, and I understand on September the 8th there's going to be a meeting at the Southeast Community Center. Are you also going to participate in that?
You know, I plan to take part in that, and if I can say, Councilman Reed has been invaluable to helping not only me so far, but also in terms of, I think, helping Alicia Kennedy, who's also on the council, Lee Barnes, a number of different folks, Jolie Justice, get acquainted to kind of what has been done at the city council level and showing us, I think, a way that you can try to work with the community, but also get things done while you're looking through the books at City Hall.
Certainly, certainly. Let's get right to our talk. Minimum wage debate is one of the things that possibly the city council, city is going to get fired up. The outgoing city council made the decision to take their time to increase the minimum wage. Where do you stand on that? Certainly $8, $9 an hour is not enough to live on.
Yeah. On the minimum wage issue, you know, this is where politics becomes a bit of a mess. I think the city council Councilman Reed's proposal, and I think the deal that they all came up with last time was a good one. The challenge that I think that we see right now is we have a few different petitions going. Right? We have some people who want to get rid of the increase. We have other people that want to make it bigger. My fear is that we end up frustrating the issue if we have all these things going on. So I think as a policy matter, I'd like to see what the council has already passed come into fruition so we can really actually start to getting those graduated pay increases annually.
Now, you've been said that City Hall should focus on basic service just as much as they focus on glitzy, high-dollar projects. How does that translate down to the 18th and Vine area?
Well, you know, I don't see 18 Vine as a glitzy, high-dollar project. I mean, I was just in a committee meeting yesterday, and I'll be frank with you, I was uncomfortable with some of the answers I got from city staff, because there was a project talking about the East Crossroads, where they're talking about development on the west side of 71 Highway. And I said, why is it that we're still targeting so many? And granted, I see the need, but nevertheless, we see targeted incentives, plans, projects, a development focus over there, as opposed to where we're sitting today sometimes. And I said, well, there are also things here. Well, you know, it's not good enough for me after a while to keep saying, well, there are some things here and we're working on it. I think what we need to really start doing is saying, look, if you want to say that we're part of a greater downtown area plan, then we need to be part of a greater downtown area plan. If the city's working to incentivize developers who are going to be building along areas that are just half a mile from here to our west, then they need to be working over here. And frankly, I think that is a basic service. Basic service is like having street lights so you can walk 12th Street, 18th Street, and all of that as you come from downtown, but also here. Basic service is like having good infrastructure, making sure building upkeep, codes enforcement. I mean, that's what we need in some ways. So, you know, some people say that we're looking for some sort of gigantic infusion of public capital and all that in 18th and Vine. What I'm looking for is basically just, I think, fairness in terms of making sure that this community, not just at 18th and Vine, but the neighborhood surrounding it, have the infrastructure, have the support that I think we've been seeing incentivized in other areas.
And I think careful planning and getting that out to your constituents will definitely be one correct step in that direction. You also said in terms of streetcar expansion, you favor a citywide approach?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it is important. I mean, a few things about streetcar. First thing is, look, streetcar, it still needs to be about transportation. I know so much of the conversation is just economic development. It's just economic development. Well, you know, that's why the vote was unsuccessful. Because there are a lot of people that say, look, I get up every day, I ride a bus, heck, maybe I want to ride a train, who knows what, but we still need a way to get people from work to school, work to home, home to work, school, wherever they're going. And I think any streetcar extension plan needs to have that as an essential part of the conversation. And I think the economic development tools of good fixed transportation will follow. That's what's supposed to happen. Point two on that is, absolutely, I think we need a citywide approach to what is a transit scheme. I mean, to me, I don't know why we actually would go with individualized sections of the city that are allowing different things to happen. That's part of the Kansas City problem, if you think about it, right? We have so many school districts in the city, we have different taxing jurisdictions, we have different public libraries, we have different everything. So we almost end up losing authority every time because you have these elections of 400 people showing up and it makes all the difference. So yeah, I mean, I think that we should all be willing as a city council, as a community, to try to actually have a real voice on the future of streetcar.
And can you tell us a little bit about your economic development proposals? I believe I should mention that you still actually live here in the East District, not too far from our building.
I live in 19th and Frizell, although don't come find me at home. But
might not be as friendly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So economic development proposals.
You have office hours.
Yeah, exactly. I will note that actually. So in the evenings, I usually try to spend time at different community meetings, but Wednesday mornings, I start at 7 a.m. I'm over at the Greg Kleiss Community Center, also right down the street, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I know some people have to work, but if you can get there before work, happy to talk to you, or call my office anytime, and you can make an appointment then. For economic development, I'm on the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee, and I think that's an important role. There are a few things that I'd like to see us incentivize. First of all, I'd like to see more targeting of small business developments throughout our city. And you know, that's not just something that helps one part of town. I think that helps the Northland, helps the East Side, helps South Kansas City. So much of our energy and development is on these big home run projects. And again, they're good things. They bring jobs. But you know, the people who've been working here for years, the people who work in this building, we're in the Lincoln building right now, the people who've been investing in our city for years, also say that, look, we don't want to see somebody who's incentivized to come compete with us, and then that destroys our business model already. There are good businesses that are here that are hiring people. I think step one is making sure we retain them. Once we retain them, I'd like to see us keep those types of businesses and profiles, small businesses in Kansas City that can help us actually try to grow a real infrastructure here, instead of trying to build a new 10-story office building everywhere you can, and that being the one solution. I mean, I think the Kansas City Business Association is just that type of idea. You talk about this area where you have entrepreneurs, you have people with real ideas, you have people that are going to hire within the community, you have people who are from this community that are invested. You know, we spend so much time worrying about a border war with Kansas, everything else. Now, this is something, if there's somebody who's working in the Lincoln Building today who says, look, I want to be here, I want to hire people, they're hiring people from our community, they're working in their community, they're usually spending dollars here, they're usually living here. That's, I think, where the difference is made.
And I should also mention you're the neighborhood and public safety.
Yes, sir.
Planning, zoning, and economic development, as you said, transportation, infrastructure, and you're the chair of the housing, and you're also in the airport.
The airport, yes.
Would you like to comment on the airport at all?
You know,
Where's that going?
on the airport, you know, we have not met as a committee yet, and I think just like I said with everything else, I'd like to ask a lot of questions about that. Because when I went door to door, you know, I'll tell you, there's nobody who said, I need a new airport. That's the #1 issue. And nobody. I mean, you could go on Ward Parkway, over here, in the Northland. Nobody said that's my top priority. So if we're looking to make a change on it, we need to get a real record out. And we need to have some real conversation with the community, as opposed to just suggesting that there's a necessary change.
Awesome. Now, as far as public safety, are you working with Police Chief Forte to make sure that crime levels remain down and that people feel safe walking the streets?
You know, there are a few things to talk about with Police Chief Forte, and I'll let him have the real conversation on policing. But, you know, there are twin aims. First of all, do you feel safe in your community from criminals, and do you feel safe in your community in reference to police? And, you know, we live in Missouri, at least most of us watching probably do. And I mean, I think it'd be a mistake if we didn't at least acknowledge what's happened in Ferguson. I think over there, what you saw was aggressive policing. I had a chance to visit with the police department, some officials from the police department the other day, about their ticketing practices, about the types of things that they're doing in terms of enforcement. And they said to me, look, we don't ticket for general revenue, we're ticketing for public safety, and really trying to make it. What I want to make sure is that we adhere to that we're really trying to make sure it's a police force that's meant to be helpful to people, not just one that's around to raise money for Kansas City, Missouri.
Now, do you support body cameras?
You know, I haven't actually talked to anybody about body cameras yet, although I certainly know the issue. I see why it would help. I see the reasons for people to have it. But I do want to also make sure that we have money for it, that if we're wearing them, then everybody's got them turned on. But I think if you look at a lot of the incidents that tragically happened this summer, if we didn't have cameras, we might not have known what happened. And granted, it wasn't a body camera, but in South Carolina, there wasn't somebody recording on their phone. If you look at the Eric Garner situation out in New York. So I think that more transparency is important.
Now, before we got on camera here, you told, you were talking about your trip to Israel.
Yeah.
You care to share a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I had the good opportunity to go to Israel about 2 weeks after the election. I needed to get a little chance to unwind after, you know, about a year and a half to 2 years of running. So
Unwinding in Israel.
I know, and it was the time of my life. I mean, I had a chance to go to Jerusalem, went to a number of holy sites, floated in the Dead Sea. I mean, some things that, you know, I had to pinch myself because I never thought I'd get to travel that part of the world.
And what color was the Dead Sea?
And the Dead Sea, it was this amazing blue.
Wow.
I mean, it was incredibly salty and all that. You're making me think I need to go back. But
Take me with you.
no. But you know, it was an amazing time, and you know, it was an opportunity to talk to people. You know, I got to see that it's a country that's more diverse than I thought. You know, they have a large Ethiopian descended population. Actually, a lot of other folks from Africa. They have a population of people from Asia, other parts of Europe, the West. I mean, it was fascinating. It helped me kind of think about, you know, some of my perspectives on community, how we can build a stronger community here, and the types of things we can do to try to attract entrepreneurs, and frankly, how you can live life every day knowing that, you know, your safety may be an issue, but it's still something that, you know, you're getting up, you're working, you're building a family and all that. So
Let's talk about your role as a city councilman.
Yeah.
You're sitting in that chair there. No doubt that you are inspiration. You probably serve as a mentor, a role model to someone who perhaps is struggling or
Sure.
or needs a role model in their life. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of presenting yourself role model worthy as you go about the regular duties of doing your job?
You know, the problem with politics is nobody really talks enough about the negatives in their life. And I'm not just talking, everybody will tell you about how they grew up poor and all that. There's a story about me with that. But the challenges you face along the way. And what I want to be a role model for is not that, Lord knows, I'm not perfect, nobody's perfect. But for why you don't give up on something. You know, I'll put him on blast right here. I have a nephew who's 16 years old, doesn't like school. A lot of people don't like school. But telling him, why do you keep fighting? What are you still going for? Having a dream, trying to present something. And that's the lesson I want to get across. I want to, you know, part of my background is I teach in prisons, or have taught in prisons. I'm going to go back and do it in 2016. And, you know, and the reason I do that is because nobody's life is over. There's no reason to give up. There's no reason to give up if you're broke today, if you're in prison today, if you're doing who knows what today, if you're high today, who knows. It's about getting your life turned around and knowing that you're actually worth investing in first, because you're the only one who knows how much you are worth. You need to be the first one to do it. And that's what I want to say, because trust me, I had my times when I was down during the campaign. I mean, and anybody who's run for office knows that. You have these days you're like, why am I doing this? But the reason you're doing it is because you care about something greater than your satisfaction that day. You're looking to change your community and make a difference.
So any special plans this weekend? I know we have the Grub and Groove Festival on Saturday at Parade Park. Whispers, One Way, Roy's Royce, Tony Tone. Any of those groups bring back memories?
You know, for this weekend, and I got a few things on my calendar. There's a charity event that I'll be attending for the Hope House, and then I got a birthday coming up, so I'll be off the grid for a little while.
And I should also mention Rock the Block, which is a
That's
7-hour party for youth at Union Station.
Union Station.
Dance competition, basketball court, soccer fields. We didn't have that.
Right.
But
Right. And I'll be
no
there
shade.
too.
Are you
I'll
gonna
be there too for a little while. I'm not gonna be there late for the dance competition.
It sounds like an awesome experience for those who are going. This is back to school week. Any words of inspiration to our kids in school?
Go to class and realize that you need to actually study, right? The teachers can't teach, you can't do it all for you. You need to actually do the work yourself.
All right, Mr. Lucas, how can our viewers reach you? Do you have a Twitter account? Or
I have a Twitter account, twitter.com/Lucas4KC. I also can be found on Facebook. It's Quinton Lucas, Quinton Lucas. Just look for that and you'll find me that way. Or call City Hall on the phone book. You can get in. I'll meet with you for an hour, 2 hours, whatever you'd like.
Well, Mr. Lucas, we certainly want to invite you to come back. We also, perhaps even, you have your own show.
I appreciate that. I'm not a star like you. So.
That offer's still on the table. I know you're the city council star, the boy wonder.
I appreciate
having you here, sir. And we look forward to all the awesome stuff that you're going to do here in the future. Again, this segment has been brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association. My name is Glenn Frizell. You can see more video online at www.whatsupkansascity.net. And remember, the sky's the limit. Aim high. Shoot for the moon. If you missed, at the very least, you would have landed among the stars. Take care until next time.